Hello everyone, I think I am live now. It's telling me that everything is good. Hopefully you can see and hear me. I'm not sure if anybody's here yet, but I was a little bit late getting started, so I'm going to just keep an eye out on the main page here, make sure that I haven't got, so I think I make sure that that's shut off. The last time I did one of these, I had two windows open and I was hearing myself talking at the same time. So if you are here live, then please give us a shout out in the chat box at the side of the video, and I will keep an eye on mine. Let's see where I am. The thing about YouTube live is that I don't know whether I'm just not doing it right, but there's like a whole bunch of different windows have to be open and a whole bunch have to be closed in order for you not to get your echoing and not to get, like, the chat box doesn't naturally come up for some reason. So let's see who's here. Erica from New Jersey. We're both in the same place. Are you getting a whole bunch of rain today as well? That's what I'm blaming for the tech difficulties that I've had in order to get things uploaded and all this wonderful technology that sort of makes things very challenging sometimes. So basically this call is essentially to answer some questions about the Pull-Up Academy and what it's all about, and some of you will have an idea already of what it entails. This week is the week I'm opening the doors for enrollment. So the very first question that is probably on your mind is when it actually starts. And because it's a course and I want as much as possible everybody to kind of work along through the workouts and through each phase together, I'm going to have a specific date for it to actually, those workouts to be released. And I'll just wait for a few more people to join and then I'll let you know all the details. So I'm just going to take a drink here. So if you're just joining us, give us a little little introduction there in the chat box. If you're watching from, I don't think you could watch this somewhere else. I don't think I have it embedded. I think it's just you click directly to the video. I was thinking about putting it onto a site or page on my site, and then I realized that that would mean that I'd have another window open and I'd have to go back to YouTube anyway to like get your live comments and things. So I'm going to say, keep an eye on the chat box here and the comments. So here's somebody else. Jason, hi. Jason from New York. Not too far away. Essentially, it's pretty cool. A few locals are joining today. So obviously a few more people are just popping on here, and I have a list of questions in my trusted Post-its, which end up everywhere. So as I was just saying, the enrollment is occurring this week, and basically I want for everyone to start the course on the 1st of May, and obviously that's next Monday. And that means that enrollment's going to close on Friday, and we're going to work, because this is the very first launch. It's I've done a beta launch already off the site, so it was more sort of on Facebook, and I was delivering their PDFs there. But this is much more fancy. It's on a website. It's much more geared toward that course, and then obviously the community and all of the aspects are linked from there. The community hangout itself is going to be on Facebook still, because while it's not ideal for everybody, and I understand that it's sometimes annoying, but as a community engagement factor, and also the fact that I can go on Facebook Lives and interact on a more direct basis if I need to jump in sometimes and sort of explain something or demonstrate something, then it's really good for that, and everyone kind of gets those notifications, generally speaking. So the previous enrollment was a very sort of, we're just testing this. it's done great. Everyone in that group are still there. They wanted to stay on and they keep going. But what I've decided to do is make this actual official launch is a 16-week course. And so from the 1st of May is week 1, and then right the way through toward, I think it's the end of, I believe it's the end of August. I think it's like the 20th or something. And but before May 1st, you actually, once you go into the site, you'll end up in your dashboard. I'll actually show you that, your dashboard, and then you can access a welcome workshop, which basically helps you prepare for what's ahead, which reminds me, I just remembered about another question, which I just got the other day. All right. So at any point in this call, you can just leave a question for me in the chat box. I'm happy to answer any questions that I haven't got to or thought of. So the enrollment starts or ends on Friday. So that's means that you have a couple of days to prepare for the first workouts to kind of drop. And something people have asked me is, how do you know that it's the right level for you? And basically, as much as possible, the workouts can be tailored and modified to you. And that's my whole idea behind this being a coached course, because I'm so I have a bee in my bonnet right now about generic courses or generic plans that you can just buy or download for free. And well, the problem with that is it's not really about the programming. It's more about you, and the programming has to be responsive to you. You can't, generally speaking, okay, there's a certain amount we can progress with a generic plan, but with something so specific and so difficult and pull-ups, and so many of us are frustrated at our lack of progress, that that requires a little more tweaking and sort of responsiveness and what's been working, what's not been working. Are you using a progression that's actually too high intensity for you right now? And what I've seen a lot of the times, I don't know if this is something you've come across, is that the use of things like negatives, and maybe you're already putting yourself under a lot of stress in order to do a negative, and even just going into jumping from bands to assisted to then negatives. So it's harder to see. You're just kind of increasing the time. But I mean, what happens if you're really struggling with your motor control during that negative? So like how you're actually maintaining that position with the shoulders back and down rather than hunched over and kind of shaking as you're like lowering from the bar. And so really what the first phase of the course is about, laying those foundations of good motor control, of good endurance, and overall building up your upper body strength. And who here who's on the call, how many of you would like to get better at push-ups as well? Because one of the I can't say it's an unexpected benefit. It's more well, we're actually working on your entire body, especially upper body strength, and we're bringing up all of the sort of weak spots, or we're smoothing things out so that everything is kind of already in place for you to perform your first or get better at the pull-ups that you're doing. So I do think that from a sort of course standpoint, that's where really the strengths lie. And into some more questions here, I shall get into one of the things I actually will tell you about right now is I think I mentioned in one of the emails, one of our cadets, Yasmin, she had a shoulder injury a couple of years ago, and she had been like doing pull-ups and chin-ups and everything But unfortunately, due to this injury, she wasn't able to do them anymore. And she is now, she's like beyond what I would have even expected to happen. Within the first couple of phases, she had already achieved 5, and she puts it down to the focus of the programming on shoulder health and optimizing upper body control and getting the whole body working together in order to achieve a better pull-up. Not just a pull-up for the sake of it, but trying to get smoothing out those sort of motor patterns. So let's see who's joined us here. Cara, hello, from Seattle. I feel like I'm in Seattle right now because it's just raining outside. I don't know if Seattle actually rains a lot, but I hear it probably does. So actually, we're just talking there about Yasmin, and she's now at her 10th pull-up, and she's been doing weighted ones, and this is like the test group has been going on since August, or sort of at the beginning of September, and so that's like quite a while. But within that first couple of phases, she really improved on her push-ups, and so did a couple of Stephanie and Tracy and Jenny and Cara, and also Christopher had joined us by that point as well. So there's a whole lot of wonderful strength benefits, but it was just her story and her frustration at not being able to get back to where she was at before. And I know I can identify with that myself because I've made it so far with pull-ups and then I've not been practicing. It's one of those ones that you can lose quite quickly if you're not training it frequently enough, or sometimes if you're training it too much, then you can start to see things sort of hitting a plateau or regressing a little bit. So it's something that I know that she's really grateful to have back. And the same actually with Jenny. She's a ICU nurse. She's 54 and always been fit, always been active, but and she had achieved pull-ups before, but had lost that again, and she really wanted to get back up to where she was. And she's now frequently doing sets of 2, so not just one set of 2, she's doing multiple sets of 2 reps throughout her workouts, and that's with her ICU shifts. And I know for my own experience in being a nurse, I completely understand the tiredness and the fatigue that sometimes life gets in the way, and it's very difficult to maintain a sort of motivation to keep on trying at something. It almost feels like you're never going to progress, and that's what makes it so frustrating. Let's see who else is here. Anybody else? So Cara's saying yes, the rain is, yeah. So Julie, hello Julie, I'm sure you'll know all about the rain, being from Northern Ireland. I think that Seattle looks really, oh wow, the rainiest winter in 122 years. Oh my goodness. Being from Ireland, I don't know if I could move to somewhere like Seattle, though it is absolutely beautiful around there. So I hope Cara doesn't mind me sharing her story. Cara's one of our test cadets, and she has seen such a wonderful improvement in overall strength. And she basically started off having had sort of a loss of confidence and not really being as consistent with her strength training just due to a back injury. And so that really affected her. And we all know, like, when you're sort of set back, it can really affect your motivation and your confidence in that sort of gym environment, and you're being more careful with what you're doing and how much you're pushing yourself. And before you know it, you're almost speeding back into it and you're not seeing progress where you once maybe had. So Cara's been working really just consistently hard. I'm very impressed by her attitude and her sort of positivity toward the process. And while Cara's just shy of her first pull-up, she has been progressing extremely well with the bands, and also persevering with a secondary goal of her deadlift, and I know that that is improving as well. So, and Cara, have you seen an increase in your push-ups? I've been talking about push-ups because I just think that that is such a great measure of upper body strength. Push-ups, inverted rows, rows in general. So I really think that that's something that you can expect. Well, of course, something you can expect from, we're not just doing pull-ups. So that is actually addressing one of the other concerns. I've had a few emails about, I'm not sure if I'm available basically or ready for a dedicated pull-up plan. And while Pull-Up Academy kind of gives you that impression that yes, and this is the goal, how we get there is not just by working pull-ups and not just by here's a grid of here's your progressions and go do them. It's about, first of all, finding about where you're at right now, your baseline, understanding a wide array of progression possibilities. Actually, in the welcome workshop, when you arrive in, you'll hear me talk a little bit more about my thoughts on how to progress and the place within the plan for regressions, and to lift that sort of stigma over having to regress. We've all been there where we're kind of working, and we get every day that we go in, you know, what goes on outside of the gym, how much we've slept, how much we've eaten, how stressed we are, all adds up to how well recovered and prepared for that training session. So if you're going to do a more intense progression and that day it's not really feeling that great, then I think that there's definitely a lot of scope for being able to regress into something that's going to work for you that day and give you the benefit of still working on that movement pattern, maybe just lowering the intensity a little bit by using bands or jumping push-up or jumping pull-ups and other ways to modify it. One of the things that I've done in the testing group is sort of experiment with, at the beginning especially, if you really struggle with negatives, that you actually can use a thin band and do a band-assisted negative. And I don't think really we think about using bands for assisted versions of progressions. We think about how much time it's going to take. But have you ever noticed that when you're lowering in a negative, especially if anybody here watching is fairly new to it or really struggles with it, especially that last bit at the bottom where you're controlling it, and then you just sort of drop at the bottom. So if you use a band, for example, in that is a really great way to help that last control, sort of train that pattern and train that last little bit. You don't want to use the band forever, but along with doing that, and it also builds up the almost the consistency of the movement. We're talking about movement patterns, so how you actually go about it, and that you maintain that good positioning all the way down. And that also stands to increase your confidence in being able to do it. Your body and your brain and your nervous system all gets used to that being worked and then gradually progressed. So the whole idea behind the progressions and also the ways that we use inverted rows, overhead presses, and everything really just works basically in the pull-ups favor. So it's not necessarily that it's a dedicated plan, but that we're working toward a pull-up in a sort of a holistic way, for want of a better description of it. I think that really just is what it is. I mean, I'm like, here's a template and here's what I've had success with before, and then I'll let you know, here are ways to regress this or challenge yourself a little bit more here. And that's really where the feedback area will come into play. And that's going to be where I've kept that off Facebook. So the feedback is just a forum on the site. So it's protected, so nobody's still private, but it means that Facebook isn't being flooded by a bunch of videos, and it also means that Facebook doesn't own them. And you know, it's more you can put them on the site, you can embed them for me to go and look at from YouTube or Dropbox or Google Drive, anywhere like that. And I'll come in and leave my feedback in the forum. If you don't want to leave them for other cadets to see, that's something then that can be sent to me privately in an email. I know some people are a little bit shy. So I'll just pop in here and say hello, because I've been going on there for a while. Please let me know at any point if there's any questions that you'd like me to answer. The next thing I was going to answer was, I talked about it being 16 weeks. And what happens after the 16 weeks? Do you still have access to the material? Yes, you do. You will have access to the material on that site until December 31st this year. So you've got to the end of the year to use the workouts, to watch the videos, and make any additional downloads from any of the PDFs that are there, and watch any of the live calls maybe that you'd missed. The archives will be on the site. After the 16 weeks, I'll no longer be doing the weekly live calls, but you'll still have access to the site, and the community will still be active. So we'll still be able to engage with you a little bit in there, not as much after the course is finished, but I hope to be able to help you out, especially if anybody has fallen behind with it. I would definitely feel a little bit bad, because I know that more than anybody how life can get in the way. And so if you're behind by a couple of weeks, like, I'm not going to sort of go, right, bye, good luck. I want to help as many people through the process as possible. And so I will definitely be hanging around. So the only things that won't be happening after the end is the new content, the weekly live calls, and I won't be doing the forum or the feedback anymore as well. So hopefully by that point, you'll at least have got some feedback from me. It's not compulsory to give me videos and stuff or to have me look at things, but I know that a lot of other people who have gone through similar, either working with me personally or working as part of the testing group for this, have really benefited from that. And even though maybe they thought they didn't or they wouldn't, I found that there's actually a lot that can be seen. Even if you've been training for years and you think that your form is pretty good, and your form probably is, sometimes a couple of things here and there can really make the difference. And not only that, not necessarily all just in technique, but being able to tell how much exertion. Sometimes we kind of feel like we're pushing ourselves enough, but sometimes we're maybe pushing ourselves too hard, or sometimes we're not. There's room for a little bit of pushing that we haven't accessed yet. So sometimes a little bit of an encouragement from somebody who's seen a lot of people training from an outside perspective over the years. And as they say, even coaches need coached. So I've had people telling me various things, people meaning my husband, who's very very helpful in that regard, and helping me become more efficient in the lifting that I've been doing. So I'll keep that in mind for the feedback forum. And actually maybe see if I can get a little screen share here and show you what it looks like. I think I'm logged into it somewhere. Give me 2 seconds and I'll find it for you. Oh, it's on this other one. Let's see. This will give you an idea. I think I have to log in. I think I'm in here. Okay. Where are my pages? There we are. This is what happens when you have a bunch of pages open. Okay. this will, you've maybe seen the image that I sent out on an email, and recently I just changed the inside a little bit, so the layout is slightly different. It's much more easy, you know, it's really easy to navigate. So let me get my screen share up here. Now I've lost my, here we are. Let's see. Now, screen share, please, where are you? Okay. Now, the last time I tried to do this when I was holding another webinar. All right, here we are. This one, I think it's going to be this one. I should be able to see this now. My computer would work. So I'm assuming that you can see this. I don't know where my little, I have like a bunch of windows open here. Okay, so, okay, you can see it. Yay. Oh, okay. So if you join, of course, if you decide that this is the right kind of course for you, then first of all, you're very welcome, because you are a founding member of the official launch of Pull-Up Academy, which is a VIP status in my book, because it's I've never done anything. If you've followed any of the things that I've done, this is the very first thing I've ever released, or, you know, for a group coaching like this. I've done one-to-one coaching for years, but I was always had trouble with finding a way to really give it that sort of individualized feel. But here we are at the Pull-Up Academy. So it's very simple interface. You start off here in your welcome workshop, and then every 4 weeks, starting from the May 1st, your newest programs will be in here, and you just follow along with your workouts. And oh, that was another question I got. There's 4 new workouts every month. Now the 4th one is optional. It's more like conditioning and a little bit of pull-up work, but it's mostly for people who don't do anything else. Now I know that there are people who maybe take classes, or they like to have maybe more of an active lifestyle, and so I think that 3 workouts, given the intensity that it builds up to, I would say that 3 is very is fine. Like, I know that we started off in the testing group with 4, and then some people preferred 3, and so I'm heading in 4th, and the 4th being optional, so that it kind of covers people who like to do a little bit more, especially the conditioning stuff, like the workouts I would do on my site normally, the body weight and kettlebells or dumbbells or whatever you have. So obviously then you can go into community here, submit your video here for feedback, and then access to the upcoming live calls are being here. And that's just embedded like on a page, or you could go into the YouTube. It'll just be on YouTube Live like this, so you can click on the video and go in directly to YouTube to comment as we're chatting, if that's something you like to do. And in here, the resource library is really where you're going to get like gradually, I'll build this up. Right now, there's really not a lot in it because nothing has officially been released, but you'll get your exercises in the library in here. So if you just fancy going to look at those, although they're going to be in the workout area as well as a pop-up lightbox video, so you don't have to go anywhere else. You just sit in the page and sort of review the exercises. Any training essentials like your warm-up, cool down, specific shoulder work things, accessory work, I would put in here. Any training articles or things that I might do as extras along the way, because it's the first time really officially going through this. I know from the testing group we've had a couple of other questions that require me to go and make a video on it, and I'm happy to do that, because if it helps everyone in a better and more specific way, then that's a win for you and a win for the group. So that's really, and then here you can submit your question for the live calls, or just if you need any help. Now, what happens if you have to ask a question? For me, just generally, you can use this anyway, or up here, when you see your name, you can drop down this little menu here, and you can use the contact here. You can log out here. You can see your saved content, because when you go through your program, you'll have the option to save. And then the account is where your name, username, password, and all of those details are kept. So this is super easy to navigate, obviously. So I'll come back out here. Please, let's have a look here. See if everybody has. I'm just catching up in the chat there. Okay. Now what am I doing? Stop this bit. Like, don't stop the video. I'm like right up at the screen trying to figure out the tech. Oh my goodness. You'd think I wasn't tech savvy, but apparently I can't be that bad, because I sat and made that site. So, but things like this where it's live, it's like, I must, like, I'm pressing the wrong thing. I'm going to actually accidentally switch it off. So another question I'd got is like, really, what equipment and what, like, can you do this at a gym? Can you do it at home? Well, my home gym, luckily it's tidy, is basically kettlebells, bench, dip. Now, the dip thing is really one of the requirements, not for dips. We don't do dips yet, but for inverted rows, so either something like that, parallel bars, or a TRX, or some kind of suspension trainer that you can do inverted rows are, because I use inverted rows to help progress your grip and upper back strength and your alignment, all of that over the course, especially of the first couple of phases, as we integrate more of the vertical pulling, but to build up your overall upper body strength, then we really utilize rows, various types, different, obviously free weight ones as well, but the likeness to the pull up that the inverted row is, because you are pulling your body weight versus pulling a weight, that is the same as the type of work you would do on the vertical bar, and it gradually builds that strength up. And I know that Cara has seen a big improvement as well in her inverted row. She had started off at quite an incline, so when your head is up and your feet are down, maybe with a slight bend in the leg, and that would be an easier version, but she's coming down even further than that and building up her strength. And like she's saying there in the comments, for anybody who's watching this later, it's that her strength and confidence have improved, and confidence plays back into the strength thing, because the more confident you are, the more likely you're going to experiment, you're going to push yourself a little bit more, and you're going to be able to understand what is appropriate for your current ability. So maybe you're not, or maybe you had been kind of not really sure where to push yourself before, and obviously having feedback and having support from the community is really going to help spur you on a little bit, and not necessarily in a hugely competitive way, because I know that that might be sort of a worry. If I was thinking about joining the Pull Up Academy as a cadet, I would probably, because I'm a competitive person, I would sort of been thinking, oh no, I'm too far behind. I'm not going to be, like, you don't necessarily need to be the best, but you want to be sort of in there with but it's not we support each other. And the thing about it is that everybody's going to be at a different stage, and yet we're all working through the same workouts. There may be differences in how we're performing certain exercises. Maybe you're doing your inverted rows from a more flat position than somebody else. Maybe you're doing your push-ups from the floor, or maybe you're doing them elevated. Maybe you're still using a band, but everybody wants the team to succeed. And I think that that's such a positive environment that you're able to share even when you're not doing so well, and people will help with answering your questions or figuring things out, or if you wanted that feedback from me, then other people might be able to tell you that you're doing great as well. So it's really nice to have that sort of social aspect. We are social animals, and having those moments of morale building, especially online. I think that, in some ways online can feel a little bit lonely, but it certainly can be much more social, especially in a small group. And that's really why I didn't want a lot, that this would be open to everyone. It's open to everyone, but in terms of numbers, I really want to keep it very small, so everyone feels like they can get to know each other. Let's see, so we're a little further than halfway through this call, I think, and Kara's saying that your row strength has really increased, and your push-ups as well. Kara's next goal is, like I said, her deadlift. She's looking toward that, and I think that Yasmin is now working toward her muscle up or dips and things. So I was talking about dips, and it just shows you, even when you've been doing it a while, you just kind of want to keep going and trying different goals. Let's see, my little list of questions. So I've done that. Start date, enrollment dates from today until Friday at 12 midnight Eastern time. So really it's 11:59 p.m. Eastern time is when enrollment closes. That means that I'm going to dedicate my energy and attention onto those who are in the group, and I'll be serving them for the next 16 weeks and helping you towards your pull-up goal. Now, what if you've I've had a question about the videos, the promotional videos that I released about the Pull-Up Academy, and somebody had said that they felt like they're nowhere near even where those the cadets started, and that what I would say is, even now, it may not be right timing, but I'm saying that if that's what you're thinking or feeling that you're maybe too far back, I'm going to just suggest, I'm going to say that the goals or the wins that you're going to have, even if you, by the end of the 16 weeks, haven't achieved the pull-up goal that you wanted, I will say that you will have achieved much greater upper body strength. You will have seen improvements in your row and your push-up. And even, I think that, thinking of Cara, she's been working her deadlift as well. And not necessarily that we're competing these goals, trying to push an intensity here and intensity with the pull-up. But with the deadlift, you're working, I'm just using her, Cara as an example. She's been improving in everything, and that in itself has been building her pull-up. But the deadlift has been kept fairly light, and we're working on range of movement and her setup. So there's a lot of other things that you can basically win at, and you'll see that along the way. And one of the things that you'll see in the inside is that I give you basically a map. It's called the Amazing Map of Hidden Treasures, and it's like what to expect along the way of the course. So it's not just have you achieved your pull-up yet? Have you achieved your pull-up yet at every month? It's like, well, here's some other things that are likely to happen, so keep an eye out for those. So it's really orientating you to see the successes in relation to where you've where you were versus where you are versus to where you want to be. And like you can kind of look, I want to be here, but I'm not. And instead of that, you can go, well, I'm not there anymore. I'm actually moving forward. And that's very motivating to see, to keep track of that. So if you're absolutely nowhere near being able to achieve your pull-up, but you have been training, then I would say, or maybe you're not able to do push-ups or inverted rows, I would say this course will still really help in building up overall your strength foundations. A couple of weeks ago, I sent out an email to the waiting list for the Pull-Up Academy about your strength gaps. And these are things that we maybe have overlooked or not trained necessarily in a while, or avoided for a while. And so these are things that I specifically address in the course. And then another question relating to current ability and whether or not the course is right for you may be that you're already doing pull-ups, but you want to get better at them. And I would say that yes, that you could still do this course because the emphasis is on improving overall performance and directing it into pull-ups so you will get better at those as well. Obviously, that's the primary goal. So let me see. I realize I say so a lot. Now you're going to hear me say it all the time. I've been editing videos for the past couple of days and filming a lot of new stuff over the last few weeks. And I realize how often I do those sort of ums and so's and random things. So it can be annoying. So there we go again. Answered that. Equipment. I was talking about equipment, right? And then I just sort of went off on a tangent. So I didn't finish that. Yes, you can do this at home or the gym. It is better if you have heavier, at least available heavier weights, but it is not necessary in order to progress at your pull-up or your upper body strength. There's a lot of ways to modify things. I know that Jenny and I think Cara, although you work out at the gym, you have your own home setup as well. I know that Stephanie, she's been working at home, and Tracy sort of works between the two places. And I've been doing a lot of work on this at home as well. So push-ups, and if you have something that you can elevate your push-ups with and doing inverted rows, and you have a pull-up bar, obviously, a few bands is helpful. So all of these things, if you've already got them, then you're good to go. If you haven't, then they're easy enough to, especially with the bands. I got this pull-up bar that goes in the door on Amazon for like $20. So, and the bands aren't that expensive either. There's a few on Amazon that I've got that are pretty cheap. So, and I've had them for a couple of years now, so they've lasted well enough. I suppose that would be a good video to do as well. I just thought of an extra little video on what bands to get. I know that 2-inch band or a 1 2/3 inch band is usually a pretty good width, especially when you're starting out. So there's the 2, and then you go to maybe 1.5 to 1 2/3. I know that I've been using a 1-inch band. It's a red band. Now they're all different colors depending on the company. And then I have a very thin band, which I started using for overhand wider grip pull-ups on a thick bar. So it's really using a lot of grip for that. So the thin band made it challenging for what I was doing. Perform better. Yeah, so you can order them on various websites, and I've just what have I done? Okay, I don't know why that happened. How do I get out of this? This is so funny. I am like the worst person on live things because, let's see. I think I just put that in. Oh, okay. I just put it in full screen, but I thought for some reason I put it somewhere else. Okay. I'll keep track of you all. So bands, pull-up bar, obviously, but here's the thing. You might think I need a full length bar or height to be able to hang with my legs straight in order to get the best from being in alignment and stuff. And while, yes, I encourage that when possible, if you've only got a door frame thing, then you can't really do that. You have to have your legs bent. So, but where you hold that, there's a difference between holding your legs all curled up into like either a crunch or like a big extension versus maintaining that sort of core position and being able to get a really good strong pull from the hang. So and you don't need to tap the floor or rest. If you're touching the floor, just keep your feet up a bit so you can get that repetition. And in the end range, I'm transitioning into second reps. So I know that sometimes that's a concern, that the pull-up bar you have isn't good enough or the equipment you have isn't necessarily good enough. And so right now, everything is ready to go. And I'm doing this call to basically tell you how it all works. So after you start on the release of the workouts, we work through that for 4 weeks, and then you get your new workouts. And at every point, I'm doing a live call based on things that I'm seeing in the group. So maybe trends of questions or trends of worries or struggles or, and the other bonus, this is extra. This isn't part, you'll still get your weekly live call, but in addition to that, there's going to be a monthly special call with the guest. And these are industry experts and people who I've worked with before, some people I haven't worked with before. And they're going to come on and talk a little bit about various topics very relevant to this goal or any fitness goal. So nutrition's a big one. And also recovery, mindset, also just their own personal stories and anecdotes about their own experience, any particular questions that you have for them surrounding their area of expertise. And this will be held, and it will be recorded as well, but I'm hoping to get them on live so that you can ask the questions there and discuss. But if that's not possible for whatever reason, then it'll be recorded and then uploaded, and then we can discuss that. But I thought that was a really nice sort of additional sort of almost like a mastermind. Here we're talking about the topic today is nutrition. And especially if you're wondering if you've any weight to lose as well, so while you're working your pull-up, you think you're maybe a bit carrying a little too much body fat for being able to do a pull-up, then having these sort of mini goals as well to sort of maybe address how you're eating. A little bit on what you're eating, but a lot of it has to do with the habits and the behaviors we have with food and our expectations of what we need to change, and managing our willpower. I say managing it because it's more about saving it for things that will do us, which will be sustainable for us and actually have the effect we want rather than making us miserable, and things like that. So I think that having that sort of bonus call. Now for joining this call, I talked about 2 bonuses, and well, there's a bonus in the works for today, and there's 2. The first one is that normally the course is going to be $199 for the whole course, but because I'm offering this for people who attend the early bird from today until tomorrow, which is April 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be offering an early bird special for $179, and that's going to be bonus one, but also of anybody who does buy the early bird, the other bonus is going to be a draw. I'm going to draw names from a hat, and the winner will get a monthly one-to-one coaching call with me throughout the course of your time in the Pull Up Academy. So not only will you get the live calls and sort of general questions, and as much as possible that personalized attention, this will be really specific and help you through the process. And if there was any sort of need to sort of carry one of them forward for maybe the month after you finish, then I would allow that as well, because that would be like a follow-up. How are you getting on after the course? And obviously that would be very helpful. So I am going to take a little look here at the chat, and I think I've really addressed most of the questions that I'd gotten over the course of the last few months. And I will, if you go to the pullupacademy.com, then you'll be able to register there, and I will be available if anything, if you have any questions about going forward with it. If there's anything that comes up, then I do offer 100% 30-day money-back guarantee, because maybe it's just not, it won't be right for you. Maybe you'll buy it and, you know, then maybe you'll not have the time or something comes up. So there is that sort of reassurance there if that happened to be the case. But the page is up now at pullupacademy.com for the early bird special. And remember, being that this is the first launch, I've been asked, when can I join it the next time? When is the next time? This is I hope to launch another class open again for enrollment before the end of the year. I hope that. So that's the plan, but I don't know when. It's going to be toward the end of the year. But when it opens again, it will be a little bit more expensive, because this is the first really run of it. So I'm excited to see how you all get on in it. And obviously I know from the testing group that we've really done great things, and I'm very excited to get going on this. And if you land on this, go to the homepage here, the two bonuses. So we've got the bonuses for today, which are, if you are on this call, you watch this video, and then you go and you sign up for the early bird, you get the early bird special deal, but you also get put in a draw. Anybody who's bought up until that point, then I'll do a draw for the monthly call with me. But in addition to that, just in general, if you're part of the group, you're going to get the mastermind call with the special guests every month. And also I'm going to do one-to-one giveaways every month. So that's just a call that you can use either during the course if you need something, you want to talk to me about something for any particular kind of coaching, or you can use that as a follow-up after the course is finished. So I believe that that is us. And like I say, I'll be around to answer questions, and I hope that if you have any problems or anything on the site, then please reach out to me and let me know. If anything is not working for you or anything's not loading for you, it should be. I've been working on that, making sure it all goes through. But tech is tech, right? So that is really it. And I really thank you all for joining me today, and for all of you who could make it live. I'm very excited to be able to do this coaching course. And really, I see it more as like a coaching group. So it's a small group. We're going to work closely together along the next 16 weeks. And I'm really excited to get going with this. It's been a long time in the works. So thank you all for joining me, and I will chat to you soon. I will follow up shortly by in the email, and also give you a chance to think about it. Obviously, it's a big commitment, and I know that sometimes you need to think about it, but the early bird special is on till tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then I'm available for questions. So thank you very much, everyone. Chat to you soon. Bye.